I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Wrestling, where I review wrestling-related things all from the perspective of a fan, not an insider. So, I've not done one of these in a while, and I figured it's time for a belt battle. Those of you who haven't seen any of my belt battles in the past, I'm pitting one company's championship belts versus another's. This is all based on my opinion of the designs of the belts overall. This has nothing to do with which one's more prestigious, has nothing to do with which company is better as far as a wrestling product goes. It's simply the looks of their championships. And I take the championships, I put them into categories, and I pit them against each other. And this time I figured, you know what? AEW has acquired Ring of Honor, and it basically looks like the future of Ring of Honor is to be the developmental system for AEW, which is a good idea. Versus WWE, their developmental system is NXT. I know WWE is talking about another developmental system for Europe, NXT Europe, that's going to be coming out in 2023, but for right now, as of this filming, all we have is NXT, and we have Ring of Honor, so let's pit them together. Now, as far as the championships I'm pitting together, I'm pitting the current ones as of this filming. I'm not going back to older championships that might have been better. I'm going with what Ring of Honor has now versus what NXT has now. So let's get into this belt battle. The first category I usually do is uncategorizable, meaning I take a couple of championships that really aren't in a category like the others and put them against each other. For NXT, the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. The NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, they're actually pretty good looking championships. I know some people don't like them, but I do. I think what most people don't like is that they are unoriginal. They look almost exactly like the NXT Tag Team Championships themselves, with two slight differences. One, the strap is white instead of black, and two, the plates are gold on a nickel background versus nickel on a gold background, like the Men's Tag Team Championships. However, I still like them, and I like that they changed it up a little bit, but I kind of was hoping when they announced that they were going to have NXT Women's Tag Team Championships that they would do kind of like WWE did on the main roster side and just give them their own championship designs. They didn't. And I've talked about it before. I get the point is to show that this championship is no less prestigious than the men's, but prestigious in how it's defended, not in how it looks. Now, in this category of uncategorizable, Ring of Honor brings the Pure Championship. The reason the Pure Championship is uncategorizable is it's a divisional championship. It's not technically a mid-card championship. It's its own thing. It's defended only under Pure rules. As far as the belt itself, I love the belt, and it's very simple design. I've talked about it sometimes less is more. In this case, it's a 3-plate belt. It's all nickel with a little bit of red lettering and some black banner outlining. Very simple. Now, granted, the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship is also very simple. Both are very beautiful in their own ways. But if I had to decide which one of these two championships I like better, I gotta give it to Ring of Honor. It's just a very beautiful looking championship, especially when you see it on television. So, in the category of uncategorizable, Ring of Honor 1, NXT 0. Then in the category of the Tag Team Championships, of course for NXT, the NXT Tag Team Championships. Like I talked about, it's basically the same thing as the Women's Tag Team Championships. The only difference is a black strap and nickel on a gold background versus gold on a nickel background. However, here's the thing. If I had to say which one I like between the Women's and the Men's Tag Team Championships, I'd have to give it to the men's. I just think that the nickel on the gold works a little better than the other way around. Especially because on television, with the Women's one, it often looks like the entire plate is just nickel. This one, because of the way it's set up, most of the time it looks like it's just gold. It also just pops more by the black strap. I've talked about it many times. I'm not big on colored straps, but usually white is an exception. I like a white strap on a belt. I think they look very nice. However, sometimes it just works better when it's black, and in this case, to me, it works better when it's black. It gives it more contrast. Versus in the case of the Women's Championship, it kind of blends a little bit too much into the strap. Versus the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. Like the Pure Championship, it's a very simple, very basic design. It's actually the first design that Ring of Honor ever had that they have brought back since Tony Khan bought the company. The only thing is, I actually like this a little less than the Pure and World Championship, simply because I just don't think it works as well with the black lettering with a little red behind it to kind of make it come out. It doesn't work as well for me. And when comparing it to the NXT Tag Team Championships, those to me are a little bit more showy, a little bit more fancy. Whereas I talk about sometimes less is more, sometimes less is just less. I think the nicer tag team titles go to NXT. So for the tag team category, it goes to NXT, making it NXT 1, Ring of Honor 1. Then in the mid-card category, for NXT, it's the NXT North American Championship. This one's going to be kind of a no-brainer because I hate this championship belt. I don't like the color. It's an ugly red, which does not contrast very well at all with the gold plating. The strap itself, it's just too big. It's one problem I've had with WWE's Tag Team Championships for years. Whether we're talking about what I call the Nickel Tag Team Championships or the Penny Tag Team Championships, the straps are just too big. I also had the same problem with the WWECW Championship. But then even the plates themselves, they just don't work very well. Even if the straps were smaller, I don't really like it. It's just a circle with a nickel North America on the plate. I was happy when they finally introduced a mid-card title in NXT, but I wasn't happy when I saw the championship belt. I've never liked it. Versus Ring of Honor's Television Championship. I love this belt. This belt is beautiful in my opinion. I talked about it before. To me, it looks inspired by Japan. I like the gold and I like the banners with the kind of burgundy outline. The only thing I don't like currently with the Ring of Honor Television Championship, it's not its design per se, it's that to me, its design really doesn't go with the rest of the championships they have right now. I don't need the championships to be completely uniform, but it just really seems out of place. Hopefully in the near future they come up with another version of it, or at the very least, update the other belts. I think I'd kind of more go for that. In the mid-card section, it is a no-brainer. Ring of Honor wins this one, making it Ring of Honor 2, NXT 1. Then the women's category, starting with the NXT Women's Championship. Here's the thing. Months ago, before Vince McMahon stepped down and stopped running NXT, they did these 2.0 version belts, where it's basically abstract art on the main plates. I've been asked many times by people who know I'm a belt mark, what do I think of them? And most of the time I was answering, you know what, I don't know, I'm waiting to see if maybe they'll grow on me. They really haven't. If they had wanted to change the original NXT Women's Championship to just a white strap, actually I kind of dig the white strap on this particular design. You know, with its predecessor, it had a black strap, but it had the gold surrounding the nickel. It popped very well, and I honestly think it might have worked better in this case. That would have contrasted, but I don't like the abstract art thing on the belt. I don't like it. Tell me that I'm a little old school, but I don't know. It's too colorful. A little bit of color might have been a bit of an improvement, but again, sometimes less is more, and this is one of those times. The less on the other belt was just very simple, looked a lot better than this one. Versus the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. When it was first announced, I wasn't that big a fan of it, but it has grown on me. It's a smaller version of what was the Ring of Honor Championship at the time. But I had talked about it when it first came out. It kind of looked like they had squeezed it to be in a smaller version. Now they've gone back to the old Ring of Honor design, but this one they still have for the women's. But as far as the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, it has grown on me to the point that I like it, but I wouldn't go as far as to say I love it. Had it been the Ring of Honor Women's Championship versus the older NXT Women's Championship, I would have given it to NXT, but versus this newer abstract art looking thing, I can't do it. I'm not a big fan of that belt at all. So in the women's category, I'm going to have to give it to Ring of Honor, making it Ring of Honor 3, NXT 1. Which brings us to the World Championship category. In NXT, we have the NXT Championship, which I've just talked about. They also did the abstract art thing on this, and I've given it time to let it grow on me, and it's not. I don't like it. I'm really hoping that very soon, since Shawn Michaels has taken over and he's kind of revamped the entire arena, instead of being that whole multicolored thing, that he changes the belt, because I hate it. I mean, with the black strap, it contrasts a little better, but it still, to me, just looks goofy like a toy. Honestly, to me, this looks like somebody left their NXT Championship out and their kid colored it. And the worst thing about it is the NXT symbol on the front used to be gold on top of gold, which worked. Now it's nickel, which would work, except we can't really see a whole lot of the gold behind it. Very little. Versus the Ring of Honor Championship. Again, they've brought back the old school version, their very first version, and it's very plain. Just 3 nickel plates with red Ring of Honor logo and black colored banners. Very simple, very plain. Looks very nice on television, but honestly, had it been this Ring of Honor Championship versus NXT's previous championship, I would have given it to NXT, because I just like it better. Versus the Ring of Honor one. I like it, it's beautiful, I'd like to own a replica one day, but in my opinion it's not nearly as good as the NXT one. Had this been the previous version of the Ring of Honor, that might have beat the old NXT one, but in this particular instance, to me, it wasn't tough at all. Like I said, I don't like this NXT abstract art version at all. So, the World Championship goes to Ring of Honor as well. Meaning overall, Ring of Honor 4, NXT 1. Meaning the overall winner of this belt battle, by a little bit of a landslide, is Ring of Honor. So there you have it. That's my wrestling review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me if you agree with the winners and losers. Tell me if you don't agree with the winners and losers. Tell me which ones you think should have won or lost. Love you guys.